Shiftry trying to build to the foul play. Not today. Driftbloom coming back in. We got that farm. Balloon about to lose air. And here comes that. What is going on, everyone? Ox here with another video. If you're a returning subscriber like the Instinct, thank you for the support. In today's video, we are taking a look at some battles in the Open Great League featuring a team that helped me climb over 300 elo points in only 3 days. This is a standard ABB team with both Empoleon and Toxicroak being weak to ground. The main threats to Altaria that you are likely to encounter in the lead are Walrein, Galarian Stunfisk, Azumarill, Registeel, and Bastiodon. Empoleon and Toxicroak have played against all of these Pokemon, so even in these matchups where you lose the lead, you will often find yourself in a position to still pull out wins. The typing and movesets on these two Pokemon are quite diverse and make both Empoleon and Toxicroak unique in their roles. In this video, we will be taking a look at select battles from some of my earlier sets using this team. These battles take place mostly in the 2300 elo range, but overall I was able to climb 300 elo points with this team and currently sit in the 2600s. This team definitely performed a lot better than expected, and if you're looking for a team to climb with in the Great League, I certainly think this is an option to consider. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. It really helps the channel grow, and without any further ado, let's jump into the first battle right now. So jumping into this first battle, we are leading Altaria with Empoleon and Toxicroak in the back. Taking a look at the threat score here on PvPoke, one of the Pokemon that definitely stands out is Walrein. Empoleon actually can hold its own against Walrein, but it does get one shot by an Earthquake, so that matchup does become a little bit bait dependent. Starting this first battle off with a pretty positive lead against a Shadow Hypno, opponent swaps out into Frostlass and we come in with the Empoleon. Empoleon has a very solid matchup here against the Frostlass. I like to no shield the first move, even if it is going to be a Shadow Ball, because they can't really farm us down with Powder Snow. So even after they shield up right here, we could simply shield up the next move, commit to the complete farm down, and this is going to leave minimal farm for the Shadow Hypno. We now have the Hydro Cannon ready to go. Once they come back in, we're going to throw this immediately. Confusion is going to take us out, and that's going to set up for Altaria to come back in. Opponent swaps out into Walrein, and we come in with Toxicroak. Now, although this does look like a good matchup for Toxicroak, we do get one shot by an Earthquake, so this becomes a pretty risky matchup right here. And because we get this Walrein so low, I actually decide to no shield this, and there's actually a couple of reasons for this. One, if it is an Icicle Spear bait, I don't want to take out this Walrein and give the Hypno a lot of farm against that Toxicroak. But two, even if it is an Earthquake, we still have that shield for Altaria, and we're close enough to a Sky Attack where Walrein will not be able to land an Icicle Spear onto the Altaria. So even if this is an Ice Punch from the Shadow Hypno, I believe Altaria will just barely survive, and we should be able to reach this Sky Attack before that Confusion registers. In this case, it was only a Shadow Ball, so we do survive that comfortably. Altaria takes out the Hypno, and we take that game. Let's hop into battle number 2. So a quick little story here about Alolan Ninetales. Prior to using this team, I had not seen A9 in any of my battles as a lead, and then during my first set of battles with this team, I saw 3 of them in the first set. Now, despite seeing 3 of them in the same set, we still managed to go 3-2, and it was at that point that I realized this team has potential. Now, in this particular matchup, I actually safe swapped into Empoleon. Generally speaking, I think Empoleon is the correct safe switch for this team against just about every single negative lead, except for 2. The only 2 times where I would prefer to swap out into Toxicroak as the safe switch instead of Empoleon is against Wigglytuff or Alolan Ninetales. Now, at this point in the battle, we are actually going for the complete Dragon Breath down. Lickitung is going to reach one more Body Slam right here, and then they are going to swap out into the Ninetales to force a shield here. We're going to throw this Sky Attack. Shield or not, we're going to swap out into the Toxicroak, and this is the part of the battle where it becomes heavily dependent on split-second decisions. We swap out to Toxicroak. I definitely could take this Ninetales out here with a Mud Bomb, but I decided instead to counter all the way down, get to about 100 energy, and hope that they were very weak to Toxicroak in the back. Well, unfortunately for us, that's not the case. They end up having a Diggersby. That's a little bit too thick here for these Mud Bombs or even Sludge Bomb from Toxicroak. So as you can see, they're going to take us out. Altaria comes in. We We will actually survive one Fire Punch right here, but it's very unlikely we will outpace to this Sky Attack. Our win condition at this point was for them to try swapping out into Lickitung, trying to catch a move, which would provide us with the necessary farm to reach a Sky Attack and take out that Diggersby. Well played by the opponent. Let's hop into battle number 3, and once again we have another Alolan Ninetales, but this time we are going to swap out into the Toxicroak. So because of the poison typing on Toxicroak, it's only taking neutral damage from Charm, so that characteristic alone makes it very useful for this team, because with Altaria in the lead, Toxicroak is one of the only fighting types within the meta that actually provides coverage against fairy types, like Alolan Ninetales and Azumarill, which cause problems for Altaria in the lead. Now when the opponent brings in a Pokemon like Diggersby, we have to understand that this is an opportunity for us to flip switch. So even if it means being at a shield disadvantage, this is one situation where it is worth it. Keeping Altaria away from Ninetales and putting Empoleon up against it instead will definitely make up for that shield disadvantage. The opponent comes in with Sableye, and now we will align that with Altaria. This of course is a much better matchup for Altaria to find itself in, and as long as we can get this Sableye low enough to the point where Empoleon could waterfall down, we should be in an excellent spot to win this match. The opponent looks like they're going for a very aggressive Shadow Claw down. That actually allows us to force the final shield, and after sneaking in the waterfall right there, they are only going to get off one foul play. Ninetales comes back in. None of these charge moves are going to be doing anything to Empoleon. Weather Ball, Side Shock, Dazzling Gleam, it doesn't matter! And one Hydro Cannon should be enough for this Ninetales to catch a big bang. There it is. Ninetales in the lead. That battle was a good example of adjusting from a mistake in the previous one. Against an Alolan Ninetales lead, swapping out to Toxicroak is definitely the better play. So let's hop into this next battle, and once again another challenging lead. Registeel into Altaria. We swap out into Empoleon. I actually believe Empoleon should outpace to the first Hydro Cannon when going up against Zap Cannon. However, the opponent goes for Focus Blast, so we do end up shielding that up anyways. However, our attack is not going to be lowered, which could be beneficial depending on what comes in, and in this case it's actually a Mandibuzz. Now initially I thought this was going to be a pretty good matchup for Empoleon and an opportunity to flip switch. However, as it turns out, Empoleon kind of has Harry Maguire defense, also known as no defense. These foul plays are absolutely chunking away, and I quickly realized there was no point in shielding because we were not going to flip switch against Mandibuzz. So we are going to Dragon Breath all the way down here, leave with a Moonblast ready to go, quickly swap out into Toxicroak, and we are met by a Sableye. This is not a good matchup here for Toxicroak. Going to try and force the final shield, put this as low as possible, and just hope that Altaria could somehow pull out a miracle and win this match. Now Sableye is going to take out Toxicroak. If we could Dragon Breath down before a foul play, maybe we have a shot. Once upon a time, Altaria actually could hold its own against Registeel. However, that was before it learned Zap Cannon. Although to be fair, a flying dragon type has no business beating a steel type. But that's besides the point. If Registeel did not learn Zap Cannon, Altaria might have been able to pull off this win. Giving Zap Cannon to Registeel made an already powerful Pokemon even more powerful. It's like adding Kevin Durant to the Golden State Warriors. They're already the best team in the league, and you just went and made them better. We end up losing that match, although it did become very close despite a pretty tough lead. Let's hop into the next battle. Altaria into Drifbloom, another very challenging lead. Drifbloom reaches Icy Wind at 4, but sometimes that's a bit too obvious. Let's count to 5 instead, and bang! There's the catch. Onto Empoleon for resisted damage. Opponent is going to swap out into Shadow Hitmonchan. That is going to absolutely delete Empoleon, but even after the Icy Wind, Hitmonchan is going to have to respect this charge move and give up a shield. Now, if Hitmonchan is running Ice Punch, I don't want to bring in Altaria, so I decide instead to come in with Toxicroak, tank one move, shield the second, and commit to the complete counter down. Remember, we have a Sky Attack stored on Altaria, so once Drifbloom comes back in, we are going to throw that energy immediately, see if they want to shield up. which they do. And now at this point, we are going to use our final shield. This will allow us to reach the sky attack. See if they want to swap out, which they do, but it's a shadow Shiftry. So here comes that sky attack for some huge damage. Shiftry trying to build to the foul play. Not today. Drifbloom coming back in. We got that farm. Balloon about to lose air. And here comes that bang. There it is. Drifbloom taken out. Altaria once again coming back from a very challenging lead. Empoleon hard countered in the secondary matchup as well, but still able to pull it off. Let's hop into the next one. We got a Stunfisk lead, going to swap out into Empoleon, and the opponent comes in with a Sableye. Now Empoleon versus Sableye is a matchup where playing for switch could be risky. In order to win this matchup, we kind of need to play out the 2 shields, and even then it's not guaranteed. The main issue though is that if we do win in the 2 shields, Toxicroak does get one shot by an Earthquake from Stunfisk, so we do leave it vulnerable. So generally speaking, I don't think I would recommend investing 2 shields in order to take switch there at the cost of a shield disadvantage. However, in this particular scenario, we are loaded on energy and we are going to be able to reach 2 hydro cannons before the opponent reaches their next charge move. Double hydro cannons definitely played a factor in them bringing in Cresselia, and we were fortunate enough to take a shield. Since they cannot cycle cut down, this forces them to throw energy. Altaria now will come in. We are able to survive a Moonblast, but after they throw this, I'm expecting them to swap out. And the only way for us to lose here is by falling behind on energy against Stunfisk. We bring in the Toxicroak, able to outpace to the Mud Bomb. This will not KO, and the Earthquake will. However, we put this in a range where Altaria could Dragon Breath down before they reach a Rock Slide, and at this point the game comes down to a race. Although Sky Attack is more energy efficient, Moonblast is going to be doing more damage, and since we will not be able to reach a second Sky Attack, we definitely should have went for the Moonblast. Thankfully for us, Sky Attack plus Dragon Breath was just enough, and we're able to take that game. Let's hop into the next one. So Altaria vs Jellicent is a matchup that is pretty much dependent on the moveset. If Jellicent is running Ice Beam, Altaria pretty much loses in every single situation. However, I find most Jellicent are not running Ice Beam, so I wouldn't recommend investing a shield in this matchup. And of course, Self bang, there it is. We do survive and get off a Sky Attack, but as you can see, not looking too good right here. Jellicent is going to be loaded on energy. We come in with Empoleon. At this point, it's obvious they're running Shadow Ball as well, so we are going to shield up, and they actually stay in, which allows us to take them out with Waterfall. Now, one thing I have noticed with a lot of Jellicent-led teams, a lot of them do tend to be very weak to Empoleon in the back. And it seems like this team is an example of that. Talonflame coming into a loaded Empoleon. Of course, we are going to shield up this second move right here. It's a Braver. They swap out into Ninetales. Going to bring in the Toxicroak right here. Thought I could reach the Sludge Bomb. That may end up being a mistake, or maybe an unintentional blessing in disguise, because that prevents the Talonflame from coming in and incinerating down our Toxicroak, which could have potentially led to a lose con for the Empoleon. Instead, we're able to Waterfall down. So let's jump into this next set of battles. We are leading Altaria still with Empoleon and Toxicroak in the back. So at the time of this battle, we are at 2354, and at the time of this recording, I am sitting at 2650. So that is over 300 points gained using this team. Altaria into Drapion. This is a very nice lead to see. We are going to tank one Sludge Bomb. I'm going to throw a Sky Attack, at which point I'm actually going to swap out into Empoleon. Even though this is a pretty good lead, we want to potentially lure out Trevenant or a ground type. In this case, they bring in Diggersby, which obviously is still taking super effective damage from Empoleon, and this Hydro Cannon is going to force their second shield, and they actually go for the Fire Punch. At this point, if it's an Earthquake, I'll let the Empoleon go down because Diggersby has absolutely zero play against Altaria, and the opponent has zero shields left. So we could safely come in here, try to Dragon Breath all the way down. The opponent will throw a Fire Punch. This is actually going to recover HP on Altaria. They are going to swap out into Drapion, throw a crunch. We are going to shield this up. I hate that little sort of glitch right there where your charge move just starts abruptly after a charge move from the opponent. It definitely throws me off sometimes, but I guess that's one of the bugs they had to introduce into the game in order to fix everything else in typical Niantic fashion. So anyways, then Toxicroak started sludging. Azumarill taking that gunk straight to the face, going to shield up this Ice Beam right here, reach the Mud Bomb. This is going to take out the Azumarill, and that poor Diggersby in the back is going to dig a hole and exit this match. They don't want the smoke. Let's hop into the next one. So jumping into this next battle, we have seen quite a few negative leads for this video. I feel that is typically where the best learning occurs, either against very difficult team comps or in battles you lose. Altaria into Galarian Stunfisk, we swap out into Empoleon, opponent comes in with an Azumarill. This is actually a matchup where we could flip switch in the two shields, but we'll have to see how this plays out. In this situation, they actually built up to a Hydro Pump, so I am going to respect that, and it turns out to be a Hydro Pump. Even though that is dealing resisted damage, it would do quite a bit to Empoleon. Going for the Drill Peck right here, that is going to get a shield in return. Another Drill Peck coming through. This will not KO. Was hoping I could Waterfall all the way down here. We will survive this play rough, but can we Waterfall down before they reach another move? Just fall one Waterfall short. I decide to shield up, and they swap out into Skarmory. Empoleon still has a decent chunk of HP remaining. Going to throw this Hydro Cannon, they shield, and now we swap out into Altaria since they are switch locked. At this point, my mind is already thinking ahead about how Toxicroak is possibly going to handle that Stunfisk in the back. I kind of need the Skarmory to throw a Brave Bird in order to give the Toxicroak farm. The last thing I would want to do is take out the Skarmory and give the Galarian Stunfisk an energy lead for my Toxicroak. So right here I actually decide to undercharge this Sky Attack, and because I was not counting the Air Slashes, I was afraid they may have a Sky Attack ready to go. As a result, I bring in Empoleon. This allows Stunfisk to come in first. In hindsight, I do believe they were one Air Slash short, so perhaps coming in with Toxicroak would have been the better play, but even so, this would have been a very difficult matchup to win because we would have had to get this Stunfisk low enough to the point where Empoleon could come in and Waterfall down, and considering how low the Empoleon already was, this game may have been a lost cause. Altaria into Greedent. This is a pretty solid matchup here for Altaria. We are going to no shield this Body Slam. Dragon Breath is chunking away, going to build up past the Moonblast, and the opponent's going to get off a second Body Slam here. Now sometimes I do consider trying to catch a Body Slam onto Empoleon, but in this particular case, I build to 100 energy, let the Greedent actually throw 3 Body Slams before the first Sky Attack, and now I am going to swap out into the Empoleon. Opponent is going to throw a move. This should be another Body Slam right here, and they do come in with the Trevenant. Now we have a pretty big energy lead, so Drill Peck is going to be dealing some very nice damage. That's going to force a shield here from the opponent. I actually thought that we would get to this Drill Peck before the second Seed Bomb comes through, but apparently that was not the case, and now we are in a pretty bad spot. Now if the opponent shields this, remember we have a Sky Attack banked on the Altaria, so you already know what's lined up. Would you like fries with that? Combo play, 1-2, Big Mac, and the bang, there it is. Talonflame in the back, going to build up to another Sky Attack right here. This is going to be dealing big damage, but we have a Toxicroak in the back. So opponent going for an aggressive farm, realized they probably had to throw. We will come in here with the Toxicroak to tank this move. Even if this is a Brave Bird, Toxicroak will go down, but Empoleon will be able to win the game with 1 Waterfall. Instead, Toxicroak going to counter down, and a flying type being taken out by a fighter. You love to see it. Let's hop into the next one. Altaria into Swampert. As someone who has used Swampert a lot in the past, I can tell you right now, this is one of the worst leads to see if you are using Swampert. Opponent swaps out into Skarmory. I don't know why the heck I'm staying in here with Altaria. Empoleon is basically a brick wall, but the opponent is building up to 100 energy for whatever reason, so we're going to throw a Sky Attack. Totally unnecessary. Would have been better off banking that energy actually and coming in with the Empoleon. Actually, technically speaking, as soon as the Skarmory swapped in, I should have swapped out into the Empoleon. So if that situation arises for you, don't stay in with Skarmory. Come in with Empoleon immediately. We take a shield from the Swamperts and they are going to Mudshot us down. Coming back in here with the Altaria, we have a Sky Attack ready to go. This will not be enough to take out the Swamperts, and just in case they are running Sludge Wave, that deals a decent amount, so I am going to shield up the Altaria right here. Opponent is deciding to stay in. We are going to Dragon Breath all the way down. This should be only a Hydro Cannon. Altaria takes that very well. Talonflame comes in, and the opponent actually leaves the match, perhaps a little prematurely. We did have a Toxicroak in the back. I think we would have won anyways, but that game definitely could have went down to the wire. Happy to take it the easy way instead of the hard way. Once again, was able to climb from 2300s to 2600s with this team. Would recommend it if you're looking for a team to climb with in the Great League. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. And if you'd like to see more content like this, consider subscribing. Thanks for watching.